I say it's like co-creating, right? As I'm remembering something, you're remembering something, and it really brings us together so that there's no separation. We see each other as a person, as a human, and that really creates that connection.
Really, this is what storytelling does for people. And this is why we encourage people to use storytelling, because as you talk about your story, as you talk about, you see, I ask you a question, you are responding, talking about your experience. But now you're also helping me to remember my own experience, which is what storytelling does for people. Because whether you were a stage or you were talking to me as a person or talking to 1,000 people, it's going to be the same effect.
Whatever perceived judgments or limiting beliefs that we placed upon ourselves, maybe even, some people growing up in different households and they're caretakers, saying things, and children are like sponges. They take it on and they don't realize that that's shaping their own belief systems. And I say belief systems for BS. Let go of the BS.
Hi, and thank you for checking out Obehi Podcast. We encourage people to own their story and share it with the world to expand their purpose. Before we start this presentation, I have something to quickly share with you. Are you a purpose-driven entrepreneur? Do you want to cut across the noise and attract your ideal client by leveraging your own story? Then pay attention. I have a signature program that can help you own your story. A 5-step transformative journey to reshape your professional and business narrative for success in less than 90 days. And it's available at academy.aclasses.org/story. This is what we have understood. Storytelling is the most powerful instrument known to man. And this is what that could mean to you. You can either own your story and use it to advance your purpose in your business and professional life, or someone else will do. The choice is yours. Now let's get started with today's episode of the Obehi Podcast.
There's a lot in our stories, isn't there, Obe? Little bit about me right now. As you can see, my background's kind of different. It's my bedroom, and I'm a full-time RVer. So my husband and I are traveling across the US, and we're visiting different states and our friends and seeing different national parks and just enjoying life. So that's a little bit about me, where I'm at right now.
All right. So you and your husband, you decided you went to tour the United States, right?
Yes, we sold our home in 2021. Our son is out of the house, and I thought, hey, after the global shutdown, I can work virtually. So it was really a blessing to me. So this is how I'm able to still connect with you and others around the globe and still offer support. Yeah.
So tell me about it. How does it feel like for you compared to maybe when you were living in the first location compared to now? What is it different for you?
I'm an adventurous person. I love being outdoors and nature. I grew up in Washington State on an island, and so surrounded by trees, woods, animals, just beautiful nature. And so this is what I look forward to wherever we go, different cities, different states, just exploring the landscape. Anywhere you go, any country, any state, there's always great, deep appreciation for nature and being connected, right, to nature, which really is God too, to source.
And what kind of preparation do you need to make to be able to live this kind of lifestyle comfortably? Maybe as you are moving from a state to another state, to a location to another location, what kind of preparation do you need to make?
Ah, a lot of preparation. and also allowing yourself to let go of material things. I can't have 2 closets full of clothes. You got to be prepared to be a minimalist, live simply, and have a good co-pilot, my husband, as we are pretty good team workers, getting things set up, taking things down, um, just there's work to do with an RV, and it's not as easy as people think it is. So it's not something. There's people that go weekends, right? They go and they go camping, whether it's tent camping or in an RV or a travel trailer, things like that. That's great, but this is our home, this is our livelihood, so we really have to take care of it and be mindful of where we're traveling, what roads we're taking, make sure that there's no low bridges that we have to go under, because there could be some things happening there if you're not careful.
RV. What does that mean? Can you sort of expand on that a bit for people to understand?
Sure. That means recreational vehicle, RV. So there's many different styles. So maybe people have seen a van that has been converted into like a camper, or a big bus that people live in. We live in it's called a fifth wheel because it's long and it hooks into the bed of our truck. And so our truck pulls the trailer behind it. That's what we live in, is a fifth wheel. If you're not used to small spaces and you don't have a good relationship with your partner, this might not be a good fit for you because you're in close quarters. It's small in here.
As you were talking, I would just try to look around to see if I could see a picture to share with people. And I think I was getting something like this. That look like
Yes.
what you're talking about, right?
Um,
Anyway,
I don't
I'm
see
just
one
trying
that,
to make
yeah,
some of
yeah,
them a little bit bigger. So at least,
yeah. So those are definitely different styles. Ours is not listed there, but that's okay. At least people get an idea, right, of being on the road, going places, basically taking your home with you.
all right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
So at least people understand what we are talking about. We're sort of creating a contest for the people.
Yes,
All right.
thank you for asking.
You're welcome. April, I'm interested in your story. Okay, we're already talking about your story, but I want you to take us a notch back now. You are a young person growing up in the United States. Tell me what you see around yourself.
Well, I lived on the island, so I was in the midst of big, tall evergreen and cedar trees. And it was a small community. It was back in the 80s, before all the technology. Um, it was a very small community, but they had a lot of Navy personnel living there because there's a Navy base also on the island. And I would be out in the woods playing. I love um, catching snakes and frogs and toads and just exploring nature, as I
You were,
feel
you were
that
not
that is
you were not afraid to touch snakes?
oh, not at all. Well, where I lived, there was no poisonous snakes.
I see.
They were just smaller snakes. Um, so you have to know how to pick them up, of course. They'll bite you, of course, but they're not going to poison you or anything. So I'll never forget the time I came home and I had caught a snake, and it was a bull snake, so they're a little bit more aggressive. And I was looking at it, and it bit me on the lip. And again, I was a kid. I was probably like 10. And I came home, and my mother, of course, noticed, "What's wrong with you?" "Oh, don't you promise you won't take me to the doctors?" "Oh, I'll promise." Yeah, she took me to the doctor. I had to get a shot. I didn't want to go to the doctor, but she's my mom. She cares about me. She wants to make sure that I wasn't going to get infection or anything from the snake bite. So, yeah, I was a little tomboy. I was had a more aggressive personality, more out in the woods, out in nature, kind of a wild type of child, I guess you would say.
So much love that, April. I love that. You see, when I was growing up as a child, also, I used to like to go to the wood a lot. These are memory I have never forgotten. I'm growing up now. I'm over 40. But I still remember those memories. They are really very fresh in my head because I remember where we used to go as little kid in the village, how we used to go hunt for rabbits. Of course, this is something that was very common among people of my generation. That we go hunt for rabbits and all of that. We dig hole. We would deep hand into a hole. Sometimes there could even be a snake inside. Of course, many snakes in my place are really dangerous. Okay, dangerous in the sense that they can bite you, and when they bite you, they can be poisonous. No, because I'm talking of tropical area now, Nigeria. So that should really be something you could call stupid thing for children to do, but we did it. But we are hunting for rabbit now, so we need to go into the bush and start. You need to identify what is the hole of a rabbit. Now you need to dig it. Now you will get to a point. It's actually the door. We call it the door. Call it a ihue, where the rabbit. The rabbit is it's call it giant rats. They are type of rat, but really very big rats. No, so they are not rabbit in the sense of English rabbit, okay, but we call it rabbit now because our were really very big. So we go to hunt for them. When we catch one, we could then take it to the market to sell. So we used to do this a lot too. So as you are talking about your memory now, it refreshed me also my memory as a child and what I used to do, the kind of fun that we used to have as children. This is really fascinating.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that too.
Really, this is what storytelling does for people. And this is why we encourage people to use storytelling because as you talk about your story, as you talk about, you see, I ask you a question, you are responding, talking about your experience. But now you're also helping me to remember my own experience, which is what storytelling does for people. Because whether you were a stage or you were talking to me as a person or talking to 1,000 people, it's going to be the same effect. As the people that are listening to you, you are triggering something in them to remember their self. So that you become almost selfish now, in that I lose you at a point because I'm using you as a conduit to sort of find my own route. It is beautiful. Storytelling is magic.
It is. I totally agree. I say it's like co-creating, right? As I'm remembering something, you're remembering something, and it really brings us together so that there's no separation. We see each other as a person, as a human, and that really creates that connection.
Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I love that. I love that. So then, what were you? How will you see your trajectory? Because now you're still a young girl growing up. Of course, you have a kind of image of what you want to be as an adult. So tell me a bit about that. I'm curious.
I wanted to be a travel agent. I wanted to work in a travel agent office and, sell airplane tickets and make people's, arrangements to travel around the world. I always thought it would be fascinating to travel and see different places. And so that was my first, my first job wasn't in travel agency. It was actually working in the fields. I would pick strawberries and then I picked flower bulbs. There's a big agricultural space there in Washington State. In fact, they are the largest producers of flower bulbs. So daffodils, tulips, irises, different types of flowers, and they export them across, the globe. So I would be on my hands and knees digging in the dirt to get these flower bulbs. And, the more you picked, the more the weight of them and everything, you would get more money. So it was very popular. Everybody in school was out there in the field picking, whether it was strawberries, whether it was raspberries, flower bulbs. that was the thing to do. And it wasn't just about the money. The money, of course, was a big bonus. But for me, it was to get out of the house, to, be with other people. And we had a lot of fun. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot how to manage money. My family didn't have a lot of money. So this is why I worked in the fields too. So, but it was beautiful because everybody was there. It wasn't just, low income family kids. It was like everybody was doing it. That was the thing to do. And it was kind of a rite of passage. It was like, oh, I'm, 13, I can pick strawberries. And then when you get to 15, you could pick bulbs because that was more physical, hard labor. Probably now in the US, child labor laws, they would they wouldn't allow it. But I think people learn a lot, don't they, when they're out there working and being with their peers and learning more about themselves in that environment. I wouldn't trade that for the world. I mean, I had dirt everywhere, strawberry stains and all the things, and it was the best time in my childhood.
That is so lovely. That is so lovely, April. You see, this is what I do every day, and I'm so happy about it. Being able to share with people, connect across the world. You see, you are connected somewhere in the US now, and I'm in Italy. As we are sharing, we are connecting as if we are really like here face to face, see each other, because we are sharing the human experience. And it is really beautiful because we are one and the same now. Okay, a couple of years ago, I wrote a book that I titled "Amended the Stream Water." This book, it talks about an experience of children growing up in the village, in my village in this case, in south of Nigeria, Esan. Then in that book, I talked about what we used to do as children. Okay, it's a fictional story, but based on real life story. What we could do, playing in the sand, dirtying ourselves, enjoying just in the flood. The rain had just fallen now. You can really smell the perfume of the rain as it just wets the surface of the earth and it's flowing. As children, we are so happy. We are so happy just rolling ourselves in the dirty water. Now, the land. The land of Edo State or Esan, where we are coming from, is red, like literally red, which means as the flood is running on the surface, it's so red, but we don't care because that is where we were born. That is part of us. So we just roll ourselves inside this dirty water, but we don't call it dirty. We have fun, like 100% fun. Now, an anthropologist who reviewed that book, because I published the book, then of course, that book was accepted here at the University of Verona as a book that children can also pick to read for themselves. So one anthropologist who reviewed the book was telling me when she was reading this book, she could really see herself. She's an Italian. She grew up here. How she used to play in the sand, play in the water, and all the elements that I described in the book. And I say, this is really beautiful because now, through the use of story or storytelling, all of us are connected. As storyteller or somebody who is using story or somebody who is connected to other human being, there are some times that we don't really need language. We are able to understand each other. We can feel it because there is a lot about it that is able to transcend the barrier that we usually will have among ourselves. I like what you're sharing. Now, I also like you said that you wanted to work in travel. And if somebody were to pay attention, then that is where you are today.
Exactly. Exactly. That adventurous girl running in the woods and picking up snakes. I'm still finding frogs and toads, and I don't pick up snakes anymore. Yeah, but I appreciate them and all the wildlife that we encounter. And being adventurous also, I married a young Navy man when I was 19. And so we moved to Southern California, San Diego area. And then after 4 years there, then we actually lived in Japan. So that was where it really opened my eyes to being immersed in a different culture, really appreciating the people the food, their cultures. It's so important. I would just absolutely 100% recommend for anybody to go live in a different country just so that way they could learn more about themselves and about other people, because we are truly connected. Obey, it's we're not separated, and it's wonderful to meet people and learn from them.
Today, with the use of internet, everybody is connected. We really have the possibility of able to connect among ourselves. We can use the power of the day, the power of technology to better connect the human being. I think that is really very, very important for us. Okay, now let's come back to the present. We know where you're coming from now. We know what make you happy. We know what the dream that you have, and this is good. So how do you describe what you do today? What do you really do today? Share with us.
So today I would have to say I am still a seeker. I love seeking and learning new things about myself first and foremost. This we are our own precious resource. Yeah, there is other people out there. There's interesting things, but sometimes that can be distracting. And so when we bring it back to ourselves, such as mindfulness and our own emotional intelligence, then we're able to, self-regulate when there is stress, when there's challenging times that we're facing, or when we don't feel safe in our environment. So I am a biodynamic breathwork practitioner and sound healer, Reiki master. So I'm all about bringing people back to themselves, helping them to find that safe space within, and really uncovering those hidden treasures, or even the rats in the hole. We all have these things within ourselves, and it's really important to understand why that's there, and accept it. We need to accept all the parts of ourselves in order to see ourselves as whole. I say that we are all like a stained glass window. So we need the light to shine through the window, but there's dark, right, pieces of glass to add contrast. It's just not one clear pane of glass, right? There's so many little fragments and colors and shapes, and that's who we are.
You know what? It appeared as if you were in an episode I did before today. I was interviewing an anthropologist, a psychologist, a clinical psychologist from the US. And during the conversation, I shared something in line that when I share with you now, you will see that as if we were perfectly synced. Now, what I share with him had to do with the book that I wrote in 2015, I think. The book is titled The Color of Our Children. It's part of a larger research that I've been working on since 2013 in Italy. And the book has to do with multiculturality or multiculturalism in Italian school. Because there was an episode, and a still episode, of course, in Italian educational system that merits this evaluation of how the children of immigrants are treated in Italian school. Okay, without going in detail, I try to paint a picture to my reader in this book, saying if you want to understand multiculturality, you need to look at a house with many windows. Or you need to look at a piece of art. Actually, I describe it as a piece of art like this. I say a piece of art is made of contradiction. It's not made of a flat glass, like you were saying. It's not made of just a flat surface, because a flat surface is not beautiful. Uniform is not beautiful. Contradiction is what is beautiful. I say, okay, contradiction, but what does it mean, contradiction? I say, okay, take a piece of art, any piece of art. I was telling my clinical psychologist today, it doesn't have to be music, even though music can actually be a perfect example too. It doesn't have to be movie. A movie can be a good example. It can even be like a painting, Only that the painting It's a contradiction in itself. That is why you're able to see it. You see my face now? See, in my face, you can see there are a little hole here, no? If this hole were not here where you can see my eyes, if everything were flat, it would not be beautiful to see. You see now, there is a contrast because there is a little bit of this color plus here, plus here. You see, each of them are different, no? This is what makes it beautiful. That is like a piece of art that you have a little bit of red, a little bit of white, a little bit of green, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue. An artist put it together and we say, oh, wow, how beautiful it is. I say, okay, you don't like it like that. Let's recompose it. Let's decompose it first and recompose it now. Only that this time, we're going to take red pen and we will take also red piece of paper. And now we're going to write our message in red. I say, okay, take a moment and reflect on that. It's going to be boring because there is no contradiction, not enough contradiction there. I said, it's not only that, but we can even go to nature. We can go to anywhere. The evidence is there that life is full of this multi-dimension. That's what makes it beautiful. The intersection. If you go to a road, a straight road, there is nothing beautiful to see there really. In terms of the vivacity of life. The vivacity of life happens where that straight road meet another straight road or meet a curved road, but meet something on the way. That is where the human society begin to form because people stay there now knowing that something is going to happen there. Maybe somebody is going to stop there and say, oh, I'm tired, let me hang on there. Every city in the world is made of this, the intersection. So I think it is beautiful what you were saying there, that it is not just the flat surface. There is nothing beautiful on the flat, but there is every beauty when we can mix it up together, a little bit of you, a little bit of me. We are co-creating this new reality.
Yes, I agree. I love how you talked about the contrast and with face and color, and it's really important to also appreciate it. You know, people might think that, oh, it needs to be all white and bright and cheery, but that's not reality. And so when we see the depth and the richness of that contrast, of maybe the struggles and the traumas and things, you know, shifting it into wisdom and appreciation, because that's what's shaping us into who we are today.
Absolutely. Because if you were to look at a river, for example, that is flowing, the point that we really enjoy so much is when that water is touching the bank and you are hearing the sound, flap, flap, bah. Because if that is not there, the river is silent. You don't want to watch something that is just silent, nothing is moving. You see, if you go online, there are a lot of this music that are, okay, you are an expert in sound healing. We are coming to that just now. You see a lot of nature that have been captured for people to see. There are a lot of this river sound that are captured for you to listen to. Because I think the idea behind it is people are losing track of nature, the beauty of nature. They are forgetting that they are part of nature. If you are losing track of nature, meaning you are losing track of a bigger part of you, so you are going to suffer. You're going to suffer depression, suffer all sorts of things because you are deliberately losing a part of you. So people going there to capture this nature, bringing it to people that are living in the city, not able to have this access to this because we are living only on the computer, is so that you can remember that you are part of this. And something that I've discovered is, as you are paying attention to that water that is moving, the sound of the water, the sound of the air, of the tree, of the branches of the tree, the flower, something is happening to you. Mm-hmm. If people have not tried, I want you to pay attention. Even though you are not literally physically present in nature, but by you paying attention to that water that is moving, the sound of the water, something is triggering inside of you. All you need to do, just pay attention. Just pay attention. All right. I am interested. What really is driving you in doing what you are doing?
Oh, exactly this right now. Co-creating with other amazing souls and finding that depth and richness within each interaction and being able to, witness, oh, there's so much here we have in common. We when we can see past whatever perceived judgments or limiting beliefs that we placed upon ourselves, maybe even some people growing up in different households and their caretakers saying things, and children are like sponges. They take it on and they don't realize that that's shaping their own um, belief systems. And I say belief systems for BS. Let go of the BS because it's not true, and really be curious. So when you're talking, Obey, about being out in nature, this is where we can become more mindful. It's where mindfulness is about, having that awareness and be curious of, I wonder what I can smell right now. If I close my eyes, can I see the wind flowing through the branches of the trees, or even visualizing the plant life or the animals in the water, whatever water you're at? Being there and being present and breathing that in, literally our cells respond to that. This is part of our DNA. As you said, we forget we're part of nature. We forget that we're animals. We just wear clothes and have all this technology, but we're animals. We need the nature. We need that to reset and restore our mind and body. There's so much research out there about mindfulness, cancer research, other about depression and trauma, PTSD and things, about how nature helps to revitalize our senses, helps us to remember who we are, and really fills our souls and our cells and revitalizes our energy.
Well, we go back to nature, we go back to the mother, we go back to the source, no? In spirituality, if we were to look at it like that, African spirituality, or let me say the spirituality from my place, for example, which is south of Nigeria, many of the goddesses or the belief system are actually tied to nature, like the river, the forest, the mountains. I think why it was done like this is, spirituality, of course, it depends on how we're able to understand that. But what it simply means is freedom. That spirituality is different from religion anyway. That need to be clarified too. Because, okay, a religious person can also be spiritual, just as a spiritual person can also be religious, because it is freedom.
Yes.
Meaning you are free, do what you want to do. There is an associate professor from the US, or Paso, that I've interviewed a number of times. He would tell me, usually he will conclude the interview by saying, when I meet my students, I usually start by telling them, okay, talking about spirituality and also about person who is an expert on what is a person, or he have a very nice way of explaining it. He will start by telling them, irrespective of where you are coming from, what you believe, whether you are male or female, whatever is your gender, whatever is your color, you belong. You belong to the human family. And now that you know that you belong, what do you do with that? You see, that's why I'm saying now that religion is different from spirituality, because on the level of spirituality, there is no separation. All of us are exactly the same thing. Now, in voodoo spirituality, there is a concept that I think I really like a lot. It's said that the other person is you. That is so advanced. The other person is you, which means God is not going to jump down from heaven and say, oh, God, you see, I'm a good person. No, 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 no. If you're a good person, show it to the next person. That is your God.
Yes.
So
love that.
The relationship, that can be translated, explained very simply as the relationship that exists between you and a mirror. If you are stupid, You could take a gun and shoot a mirror, only that you forgot that you are shooting yourself. But if you're a good person, do it to the person in the mirror, because the other person in the mirror is actually you. Only that the person you are seeing is helping you to reflect about yourself. Now, let me show you an example. I ask you a question. I said, tell me about yourself, April, as you were young. You see, you were telling me, right? What happened to
Yes.
me? It connected me to where I'm coming from. Uromi. Uromi is the south of Nigeria, several kilometers away from here, several kilometers away from where you are. Your story connected me in Italy, and it connected me to Nigeria, Africa, many, many thousands of kilometers, which is to say, you are me, I am you. You are helping me to see myself, I'm helping you to see yourself.
100%. And spirituality also for me is like really building a better relationship to myself. That's what it's all about. And however a person connects that way is perfect for them. There's so many different ways to be spiritual. And I love how you talked about, the mirrors. I say that, we're mirrors of each other. And if there's something that is activating ourselves when we're looking at somebody or we're watching the news or something like that, it's really something within ourselves. It's not about the person or that situation. It's something within ourselves that is stirring that up. So this is why it's important to have a mindfulness practice, to build the emotional intelligence so we don't get reactionary and pull that trigger, so to speak, and shoot ourselves. Because it is true, it comes back to us. We don't realize that. But when we do have a good spiritual practice, building our own emotional intelligence and incorporating that mindfulness, then we can pause, we can step back as an observer and see things past that BS.
Now, you made mention of the word mindfulness in a number of occasions. I'd like you to spend some time on that. What do you want people to understand about mindfulness, and why is it important in the work that you do?
I think mindfulness is important in everybody's life. It's just not the work that I do. Mindfulness, as John Kabat-Zinn, a loose description, he created in the US Mindfulness Institute. And he says mindfulness is paying attention on purpose. And this is the tough part, without judgment of what you're noticing, of what you're experiencing. We can be mindful, we can be aware of things that are coming up, although it's the judgment that tends to hook us, the emotions attached to our thoughts. Because then that's when, we're not very mindful. So being mindful is about just paying attention to thoughts, to how our emotions are contributing, and when we can create just a little gap between those thoughts, we can actually see a bigger picture. So being mindful in the workplace, being mindful when you're driving or when you're walking in a big city, what type of already preconceived judgments are we already holding? Oh, this is going to be a hard day. Oh, I hate people who drive like that. And why do those scooters always cut me off? And I'm thinking about when I drove in Japan, and there's a lot of scooters, right? And just being mindful of, oh, I have space. I'm a good driver. I create space. I can slow down a little bit so that way they don't feel like they have to cut in front of me. Maybe they're going to work and they're late. Maybe their mother is sick in the hospital. I don't know. But the more I can relax about it and do my part, being mindful of this is just a little blip, a little millisecond of my day.
Thank you for that. That is for an evolved mind, no? In that you don't allow the circumstances to change the entire day. You see, things are going to happen. They will happen, no? Because they don't depend on us. There are a lot of things that are happening that we cannot control. Why do we need to waste all the time on those things? Because we cannot control it anyway. You go out, it's about to rain. You cannot control the rain, no? There is no need fighting it. But what do you do about it? You see?
It's so true. People just complain, about it all day long. And yeah, I think about, it's raining. Okay, we still have to move our camper. It's storming out. We have to get on the road. Let's just take it slower. Let's be grateful that we have everything we need. Just really also putting in the gratitude of what we do have instead of focusing on that one thing that is getting in the way of our peace and joy.
Couple of hours ago, I finished an interview. Then my son was sort of saying it aloud to me, Daddy, we need to go out to the park. We need to go out to the park. Okay, they are not yet started. I don't know if in the US, but here in Italy, they are starting school tomorrow. So for for a couple of months now, we have been at home. We have been at home together now. So if you see everything I'm doing, so sometimes he dragged me. We go to the park. Maybe one could say, but if I didn't go now, maybe I would have been able to do some more thing. But you see, for the fact that I follow my son to the park, that is a good thing. Even though maybe I lose in some area, but I gain in some other area. Because now, I spend more time in nature. I spend more time with my son. We have to walk from the house to the park together. We need to exchange a few things. Maybe you have some questions to ask me. That is more quality time that we are spending together. Okay, that is mostly positive things, no? But let's look at it in a different way, or look at a different scenario. It might be that you were supposed to go to work very early. Maybe your alarm didn't ring. You could wake up and, I start swearing, But what if you try to see what is the message behind it? Because I think somehow there are these information that are coming to us that we just need to pay attention and maybe ask ourselves, okay, I'm not really able to control this one now. I'm not able to do this, but can I at least learn from it? What is the lesson? What is the lesson from this? It's possible that you have made an error. You could make, all of us, we make a lot of error all the time. I think the error is not the point. The point is, what do we learn from it today? Because that is a lesson for us to learn. And I heard another thing that you were saying, talking about mindfulness. How do you remain mindful and not be judgmental? How do you do that? How do you have to learn that? Share with us. We like this strategy.
Practice and practice. Some days things flow really well and others not so much. So it's really about recognizing when I'm feeling, I say activated. Some people say triggered. I don't use that word because people get triggered from hearing triggered. So it's more about, how am I feeling right now? What is it? Why do I have this ruminating thought that keeps coming up? I keep going over and over and over again, when, as you said so perfectly, Obehi, about you can't do anything about it. You can't control. We can't go backwards and fix things, right? So being mindful of the thoughts, of how my body's responding, and then really stepping back and taking a breath and remind myself, I'm safe, I'm supported, I'm loved. I do my best, and my best is good enough. That just shifting the script, I call it. So that way it eases the mind of those thoughts that keep coming up about either a person or situation or our own self. And then this is where we create those little gaps. And if it's just for a brief second, that's perfect because you're already shifting. You're already changing the direction of how your thoughts, and thoughts are energy. And your cells in your body are responding to the thoughts because of your brain releasing chemicals, and then it activates the nervous system. And then this is when we get heightened. This is when we get in that, they say, fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode of being on high alert. And in that space, we're more reactionary. So just even feeling into that, how am I feeling right now? I'm thinking about maybe a person's thinking about a meeting they have to attend, and they don't get along with coworkers, or they're a little nervous about doing a presentation or something. When they can recognize what's happening already with their thoughts in the body and just taking a breath, focus on something else just for a brief second, like nature, look out the window, redirect, shift the script. So that way they can be more in a responsive mode. And I think it's really important, Obehi, for people to understand that this is natural for the mind and body to do this. It's just trying to protect us. And when we can come from it as, oh, my body's getting activated because I'm getting ready for this, then you understand a little bit better and understand that it's being activated to prepare to fight or flee, right? Leave or freeze. People have those different responses. And when we can recognize that that's already activating in our nervous system and taking a breath, shifting that script of what we're thinking about, then that helps us to just relax just a little bit. I say it helps to melt the outer layers of that tension that you're feeling. So that way you can approach the person or be in that environment with a little bit more clear focus. You can feel your feet on the ground. You can be aware of your own presence.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to share a story with you, and I would like you to respond to it. And because you used the term script a couple of times here just now, and as you are talking, I'm looking at a kind of back and forth information that is coming to you, or you are tapping into. There was this book I wrote a couple of years ago. At the point in this book, I was talking about subconscious. And I was referring to it at a super hybrid database. Let's take a look at a situation. An antelope is going to the stream to take water. The antelope is about to get water from the stream, only that the antelope just realized that not too far away, there is a lion that is coming. And now I say, okay, let's take a moment and freeze the time. And let's look at the triangle of events. The antelope, the lion, and the water. I said, antelope is going to make a decision. And it's going to be very accurate in the decision for the fact that his life and death depend on that decision. And I say again, that decision needs to be very fast. Because if you make any mistake, it's going to die that instant, that day. That is how serious it is. And I said, but where is the antelope getting the information from? Because now it's tapping into information that is helping the antelope to calculate. Because you see, I said that it's going to make a perfect calculation, because if you make mistake, it dies. If you get this right, you live. What is the situation? It's going to ask, how far is the lion from where I am before the lion can catch up with me if I were to get to the water? how far is the water from it? Because if the lion is very far, the antelope can actually go there, take water, and run away, you know? But the point now is that if the antelope know that by going to take water from the stream and running away, the lion is going to catch up with it, it will not go for the water. It will go away because its life is more important than the water, than just going to get the water. And I said the antelope is tapping into a source, an information that will be there forever, which is what have happened before. It is therefore the super hybrid database. Because I see that you were making mention of the freeze. The freeze, how did you put it?
Fight, flight,
Ow.
freeze.
The fight, freeze mode, no? Which are sort of coming almost naturally. Because we are
all animals have it.
Exactly. Because we are part of a system that have been here for many thousands of years. It didn't start with us. All this information are available for us to tap into. All this information.
And it comes from the amygdala of the brain, right? That's the reptilian part of the brain. And this is where that fight, flight, freeze, as you so perfectly described, Obehi, like, boom, like, we don't have to think. If there's a car coming at you and you're trying to cross the street, you know, you're not going to say, just like you said, how fast is the car coming? Are you going to stop in the middle of the street? No, you're going to jump out of the way. Or if you're a child, your mom's going to pull you out of there. It's all about that natural instinct that we have. This is built into our DNA. And also, you know, you can even go back to our ancestors, because we're talking about cells and DNA and how they, you know, access their own internal knowledge and all of that. So yes, that is the main part of that amygdala, of to keep us safe, to protect us. Although if it's on overdrive, if we don't allow ourselves to reset after a traumatic experience or something that kind of shocks us, if we don't allow us to step back, take a breath, you know, kind of reflect and allow ourselves to feel any emotions, anything that comes up in the body, you know, we tend to keep going, like, oh, wow, that was terrible. So glad I survived that. Now I still have to do this, you know, and we just keep going. So we don't allow ourselves to relax the nervous system. And that's where, you know, some chronic tension and disease can take place in the body because of being on that hyper vigilant when we don't even realize it.
You were making mention of sound healing. And could you say something more about that? If people want to understand how that even works.
So as we're talking about ancestors, right? Everybody here, everybody around the world, right? The ancestors, how did they communicate? They communicated through stories. They communicated through music, through singing, right? That's sound. They connected to the earth. They listened to the wind. They listened to the animals. That's sound. So sound really resonates. Our cells, science has shown how cells respond to sound. And there's even cancer research out there of certain frequencies emitted into the body with certain types of tumors. I'm not saying all cancer, but certain types of tumor that they really responds, and it shrinks the tumor. So for me, with sound healing, I work with Tibetan bowls. And so that is rubbing the bowl around the body or on the body, and it feels like a cellular massage. People literally either fall asleep or they say, oh my gosh, I had a warmth sensation going up and down my body, or they really felt rejuvenated and open. They even have, you know, had emotional expressions. They've cried or laughed, allowing that frequency, allowing that energy to move through the body. And it's all about a person's intention. Whenever you're doing anything, it is all about the intention of it and being open to receive. So the more that we can be curious The more that we can wonder about, oh, I wonder about sound healing. I wonder about art therapy or um, any types of other types of therapy, right? Um, that opens up that curiosity. And then that's where we can connect to a different place. Maybe you can call it to God, to our higher power, when we're open and really able to be in that space, then that's where we learn more about ourselves in the process too.
The people need to maybe decide that that is what they are going for in terms of the sound healing, or is it something that come through a kind of a therapy or a research a study of them based on your work?
I think it depends on the person. For me and my clients, I offer sound healing in person because I don't have the microphone to pick up those, higher frequencies that the bowls emit. Uh, Although I do offer also Reiki, which is a Japanese technique that helps to balance the mind and body, brings more into that calm presence, relaxes the nervous system. So that way it switches on the parasympathetic nervous system and the rest and digest. And that's where healing happens. And so to answer your question, Obe, I think it depends on the person and what they're wanting to experience because there's so many different ways to release stress and open ourselves up, right? To have those experiences. And whatever a person feels called to is perfect for them. They could start out simply with a easy meditation. And a meditation doesn't have to be sitting still for hours. No, as we talked about, go out in nature, take a mindful walk, feel your feet on the earth, breathe in the essence of that nature and being open to the sound, right? That's also a part of meditation. You can even wash dishes, feel the water, the warmth, right? The soap, the motion of washing, put your breath with it. That could be a meditation too. So it doesn't have to be anything technical. It doesn't have to be something outlandish or big. It's all the person's intention of wanting to feel better, of wanting to ease the mind and body. It could be as simple as taking a nice shower, feeling the water over your skin, the soap, taking a bath. Water is so healing. I love the story of the river Obe, of being in that beautiful red river. Yeah, that's not dirty water. That's Mother Earth energy there, right? And just being immersed in that, go jump in the river, enjoy life, have fun, be a kid again. That's what we all need to do.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Talking of the river, talking of the environment, I think you made mention of emotional intelligence. Could you tell me more about what role that plays on your work?
Yeah, that emotional intelligence is really the root of everything for everyone. So when we're talking about mindfulness, it's being aware and simply observing. That's what mindfulness comes down to. And emotional intelligence is about building those resources within yourself. So that way we're not so reactionary. Being aware of the sensations in the body, being aware of our tone when we're talking to other people, our posture, being very aware of when other people are talking, seeing past their tone if you're feeling like it's confrontational maybe, and feeling activated because of maybe a past experience with them or another person kind of heightens us. You can just step back, and listen to the words that they're saying. That's what emotional intelligence is. So that way you don't, react and create that just, I don't even know how to explain that. It just, you push against each other, and then that just fuels the fire, and it's not helpful for anything. So when you can listen to a person in a space without judgment and being curious to why maybe they're saying that or behaving that way, then you don't take it personally either. You're listening to them and their story and what they're expressing. And maybe even they're not even asking you for your opinion. Maybe they just need to vent or express something, and they're not wanting your opinion. So I think people get in trouble when they think that they need to interject. Oh, this person is really sad, or they're very angry, and I got to stop it. I got to make them not feel that way because I feel bad about it. So then if I do this, then they'll feel better. And it's like, no, that actually makes it worse, doesn't it?
I like what you also said before of this be an observant, be a witness to nature, be a witness to life. See it, because I think life is like a book that you need to read, actually, an information that you need to absorb. Everything is there in the open, but are you willing to learn? That is the thing. You go to the forest. I think the best place I've actually learned is because I've lived and I've grew up in my village, because there I have access to the library of life. All what I'm doing now is making a recollection of everything that have happened to me, because I grew up till 24 years before I come to Italy where I live today. Everything that I'm doing is always a recollection of what have happened to me or I've seen. Culture, people, life, setup. And I think it's a lot if we are prepared to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's all about having that open mind, being curious, and I say also turn worry into wonder. Instead of worrying about things, it's more of, oh, I wonder how things are going to work out. I wonder why that person behaved that way. Or I wonder when you can fill in the blanks, So just shifting it again, that's that shift the script, because then that eases the pressure on ourselves to fix things. And the more that we can be in that beautiful river with you, Obe, um, and just allow to free flow and see where it takes us. I mean, that's what living's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Talking of that little sound, actually the flood, when the rain fall and the water that is moving on the ground, I can still hear it. Like I was much smaller, something like around 5, 6 years old, because my grandmother died. I was yet to start primary school. I still remember the time that I went to the farm with her, and maybe the rain had fallen, have beaten us, and we are returning to the house. We are walking on a small footpath, and you can literally hear the sound of the water that is rolling on the ground. Maybe they fall into a little pothole on the ground. They are, that sound today, if you can capture it, they actually sounds for healing. Because when you hear it, it connects you to again to where? To nature. Because nature is the source of life. You have been part of it. You are part of it. Even when you die, you are part of it. Is therefore the connection and the recollection. But this is a question for you, April. What is your satisfaction in what you do, knowing what you are doing?
I feel so grateful when I'm able to support others to really witness those parts of themselves, whether that is through the Reiki, breath work, or sound healing, bringing them back to themselves and rediscovering their own resources, and especially the breath, right? It's very empowering to know that we have something so precious, and it's life force energies. You're talking about the nature. We're breathing in. We need the trees. We need the plants. That's what creates the life force energy that we breathe in every day, every moment of the day, because we can go weeks without food, days without water, but it's only the moments without the breath. And so when I'm able to help people recognize that precious resource and use it, have it in like a tool in their toolkit to use when they are under stress, when they are feeling the pressure, uh, helping them to alleviate those tensions, helping them to melt. So that way they can live, a easier, flowy, as we're talking about the river, joyful life. Because that's what we all want, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, tell me more about this breath work. I think it's so important because there is also a way that you connected it there. It was beautiful. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's the biodynamic breath work and trauma release system. It's called BBTRS. And Giten Tonkopf, he founded the BBTRS system. And if anybody's interested, he wrote a really good book. It's called Feel to Heal by Giten Tonkopf. And he talks about the science behind it. He talks about the psychology. He talks about how our bodies are wonderful containers that hold everything for us, including the traumas, including, right, that contrast that we talked about earlier. And when we can breathe into those spaces, allow our bodies to move using sound, using touch, using movement, using meditation, then we can really experience the felt sense of our bodies and start to trust in ourselves more.
For people that want to find you, how can they reach out to you? Maybe want to work with you.
Yeah, you can find me on livingwithintention.co. That is my website. And also my email is april@livingwithintention.co. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, but mostly on LinkedIn. That's where we connected, Obehi.
Absolutely.
And I do have something exciting. I don't know when this is going to air, but in November, I'm offering a reset and restore your mind and body in Bali. So it's a 6-night, 7-day, all-inclusive retreat to where we do all the things that we're talking about today, about meditation, about breath work, about, just paying attention to the body and how to connect to our precious resource. And also what's really exciting about this retreat is that we're actually offering like a midday break to where we'll go to a waterfall tour. We're going to go experience the culture of Bali. We're going to a temple. We're doing things in the community and the culture to give a more of a rich experience of being there, of setting the intention to reset and restore. Get off those electronic devices and come explore with me in Bali. You can find that on my website as well.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That break is important so you can sort of recharge the energy. That is so important.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Obehi. I so appreciate this opportunity to connect with you and to your community. It's just such a blessing to be here.
Thank you very much.